dans le nouveau showroom de Accessa Group. Aujourd'hui configuré pour accueillir notre nouveau partenaire Gunnebo et principalement cette nouvelle solution de Safepay. Alors je vais maintenant vous présenter Tom Christensen de Gunnebo.
Thank you, Thierry, very much for inviting us to present something that Gunnebo is very, very proud about. But before we jump into what we call our closed cash handling system, that you will also see physically working here today, I would like to give just a little bit background about our company. The company, as you can see here, both on the screens and on the board here, is Gunnebo. And Gunnebo is a Swedish-based company. And from Gunnebo today, let me just introduce my good colleagues who are with me here today. First, Mr. Conker, who is the chief engineer behind the system you will see today. So he has been there from the beginning when we developed this together with retailers, as we will explain later. And then Mr. Hans Winter, who's from our South African and this retailer activities, who has a long background also within the cash handling industry, coming from G4S. So you know the link between what our system is doing and what CIT is needing to get an efficient flow of cash. And then myself, Tom Christensen. I'm Danish and I speak bad English, but at least I don't speak bad French, but I don't speak French at all. So you will have to accept that this will be in English. And by the way, I forgot to say that you are from Sweden, where it snows now, so it's a big contrast effect here. So the weekend where we have enjoyed you on the island. Gunnebo is a Swedish-based company, and with 5,700 people employed, and a turnover of some 610 billion euros. Gunnebo is Swedish, as so many other Swedish companies are within the security industry. Our heritage go back to 250 years if we take the different companies that Gunnebo consists of today. And some of you might know our company from other brands that you will still see in the market, like Chop Safes or the French part of our company called Fisherbush. So Gunnebo today is not only Gunnebo, but it's brought under one umbrella, but it has a 250 years long history with different brands across the world. We are organized out of 3 regions, making us support, but we have sales companies in 33 countries, and otherwise we are working together with distributors in other parts of the world, where we now have made this partnership with Accessa here. So we are very happy to be here today, so thank you very much for that. We've done a lot of efforts. We are very impressed by that, by the way. But let's try to get into what we are supposed to talk about today. Is what we call the Safepay closed cash handling system. And the history behind this is naturally, with such a long history that we have as a company, we have of course been dealing with retailers for many years. Initially creating security around their valuables, their cash, their staff, etc., but in all the traditional physical way. Over the years, actually, and we see that in many security products, the development goes more and more in the direction that it should not only be a security product, but it should also be something that brings efficiency and bring more effectiveness into the operation of our customers. And a number of customers approach us and ask us if we could do something they have created as a vision of what they talked about as the total closed cash handling loop. In those days, that did not exist. That kind of products that we are going to show you today did not exist. But they gave us a list. First of all, they have made a workflow within our shops and out of the shops to the cash center. And then there is a number of things that it needs to solve. And if we push one more, I think I've touched it. Yeah. So take both of those. So what was the aim they were aiming at was to lower the cash handling cost. And you can see on the screen here the areas they defined. It was also to improve the security, and it was to ensure high uptime, and it was an easy implementation in the checkouts. And all those issues you can read yourself here. I would say I tried this morning to list. Sometimes it gets a little bit simplicity when you see it here, because there was a number of other things that had to be fulfilled together with these areas that you see up here. And some of them I can say was that, first of all, it was not only in the shop to get the cash deposit. It was to get the cash recycled, which means that the cash that the consumer are paying for the goods in your shops were also supposed to be the cash that go back as change to the consumer, to the customer in the shop. And this is the key of the system you will see here, because that is where the trouble starts, to get that technology in that environment to work in an efficient way. So that was the first hard challenge we had, that it was not only to get rid of the cash, it was also to get the cash back to be worked with in the checkout. And then, you know that better than I, but we have also learned it now after 10 years of development, the space we have in a checkout, the space you allow us to work with. It's not like in a bank where we have a lot of space to place our cash handling equipment. There are only this space available. So it was also a matter of getting that kind of equipment, doing this job, solving these areas to fit into your existing checkout. But of course, it was also a matter of the existing checkout, so that our customers should not check the checkouts out. They would of course want to work with the existing checkout. And there came another issue that we struggled with at the beginning, which is ergonomic. From the part of the world we are coming from in the north of the world, up in the cold Scandinavia, then ergonomics, and I don't know how it works in your market, but I can tell you that in our markets, the rules of ergonomics are very tough. That means the repeatable movements of the cashiers and everything else had to fulfill those. Because if they did not accept the equipment in the checkout, it would not be accepted. Another thing that had to be fulfilled also with this limited space we have here is of course the capacity. The capacity of coins and notes, so you do not have to refill the system as a bring more cash to the cashier during the day more than necessary, and also the overflow need of bringing the surplus notes, that's the extra notes that have to go to the bank, in a way that capacity will also fulfill during the day of business in a checkout. And a day of business in a checkout is defined not like the day where we have no turnover, but in the day where it's Christmas and Easter and those time of year where it really is a hard rush on the equipment. Customer friendly naturally, we like our customers to come back to our shops. So the equipment should also be able to communicate in an easy way with the customer, so that they got a good experience of that part of the process of paying for their goods at the checkout, and leaving for the cashier to have more time to in a friendly way communicate with the consumer instead of being focused on making the exchange of the payment. Infrastructure adapted, I wrote this morning as well. Like you in your previous life know that, because if we were coming with equipment that forced the CIT partners in this setup to change their equipment, to change what they have in their cars, forcing investment in the whole loop that would not have been accepted either. So we also needed to get that equipment, infrastructure adapted to the other players in the market of making the cash handling efficient and secure. Service rental, naturally, this is what we always talk with our customers about, like business critical equipment. And by that we mean, if consumers are not able to pay for the goods, then we have a big problem. Then we might as well close the shop. Now, normally we don't only have one system. But I normally say like this, there are two things that need to work. The doors has to go up to the shop, and this equipment needs to work. So it has to be very service friendly and easy, both for the staff in the shop, for those areas they need to take care of, and also for us to have an efficient tool to support the shops whenever there is an issue. And that issue do not have to be something that are wrong with the equipment. It can be a user error or something that happened. So we have a very efficient, that Ole will show later, monitoring tool where we can look into the shop and actually see what's going on with the equipment. That's the key thing, to have a very efficient uptime in the shop. And then modularity as well. When we are sitting with customers, there are different needs, there are different way of running their business, there are different way of handling different areas in the shop. So it was not like one size fits all. So we also need to have different levels of taking this equipment into the shops, where there are different, as you will see later, different possibilities here as well. High uptime, I've just talked about that. And then just finally regarding this, before we move back to the slides, this is now a history of 10 years together with retailers in countries. We have rolled it out in how many countries is today? At least some 12, 15 countries. And in those, over those 10 years, we have of course learned a lot of things as well. And what you will see here today is what we call our generation 2 of machines. So we have been through, in those 10 years, a further and improved development of the system. So that's also an important message for me today to you. That is that what you will see today is our generation 2 of the system. And okay, so then actually back to the because I think we can do here what we were supposed to solve. And the unit consists or a system consists of 2 units. One unit is what we see here, what is our coin unit. This coin unit has a bulk payment area up here, because that was another part of it that customers should easily be able to understand and get rid of their coins. Because the faster they start to pay in the coins, the faster we can make the transaction. And normally the situation is like this. I don't know if it is like this in Mauritius, but anyway, that you are in a stressful situation because the line is queuing up, and people who are facing the amount they have to pay very often are redundant to stand there and count their coins, because it's a little bit embarrassing, because they are delaying for the next one who have to their shop. So what was the intention here was to be able for a consumer in an early stage of the scanning process to bulk in a handful of coins. So that system will count the coins for the consumer while we are still scanning. So that an easy way can get rid of their surplus coins, and by that get rid of some of that effect you have of that they are not paying in coins, that we are very often in a retail environment coin negative. Means that we have to bring new coins to the shop more often than we actually like to do if we could get the consumers to pay with the coins. So that's why it was created like this, and the height of it as well. So it was easy ergonomically for the consumer to pay in the coins, and with the display to see actually what's going on. The second unit, and then as I said, the coins coming into this unit is going down to compartments below, and the coins that are paid in by customers are also the coins coming out to the next customer that need it for change coins. So it's recycling, and by that also bringing down the need of filling in new change to the cashiers, and also limiting the, as I said, the coin negative effect of consumers not paying the coins. And then the other unit we have is a note unit, and that note unit is like with the coins, a unit where you recycle the notes. It's handled either by the cashier, so you handle the notes to the cashier and the cashier feed in the notes. This is actually, in our experience, one of the most effective way of doing it, because the cashiers will very quickly learn how to fill in the notes. They always, when you turn it to consumer, there's an element of they have to get used to it first. But there are different philosophies here. We don't say how it should be placed, we just say its possibility to place it in both types of environment. The notes are fed in, and then goes down to a department where you have indicated that how much notes you need in change, and that notes will then be stored. And every time we exceed those levels, we send it away to the surplus cassette. And that cassette is then, after that, the cassette, the collecting cassette, that has to go somewhere else, depending on how your cash plan. So we have, and then you will have a chance to come up here and touch it and then play with it, so I will not say so much more about it, but it consists of two units, a coin recycler and a note recycler that is placed in the checkout. So every checkout, one system. So it's a little bit back to what I've said already, but the closed cash handling is then have that extra element that for those coins and notes are leaving the consumer, it should not be out in the open again once, except for what is going back as a change to the customer. But that cash should not be seen anymore before it is in the cash center and thereby secured all the way through and on your bank account. And the last element of that is that those surplus notes, the extra notes, the notes that has to go to the bank, will then be in that cassette you will see when you come up here later, underneath this unit, collecting all the extra notes. And those cassettes can then only be released by certain criteria. And when that cassette is out, it has to be taken to either directly to wherever you want it to be counted, or can be collected or deposited in what we call a deposit unit. Which means that the cash from the different checkouts will be deposited in one collection unit. So nobody will have to sit in the back office opening the cash, and the cash will be out in the open. So it will automatically deposit. So checkout number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, will be in one collection bag, which makes it more effective when you have to take that cash then further to a CIT company or yourself, or depending on how your routines look like. So this is the principles of the use. And today we have that was from the beginning of 2015. So we have more than 9,000 installed systems now, and this is an example of customers that are working with the system today. But you would find this system in many different environments. You will find it in petrol stations. You will find it in food retailers, of course. You will find it in bakeries, gaming shops, whatever. Different environment where they all have the same thing in common: the issues, the trouble, the risk they have by handling the cash. And then all of you take us through the...
Okay, I will take us through a little bit of the software part of the system. But first of all, I would like to say that, okay, as Tom says, Safepay is a closed cash handling system. And this was a demand from the customers to create a closed cash handling system from the respect of security. External security such as robberies and all that, as well as internal security, and to avoid both robberies but also internal theft and internal mistakes and so on, which can be done by stressful situation handling from cashback and so on. A problem with a closed cash handling system is that you don't see what's going on inside the system. You are blind. Everything is hidden behind steel and other protection measures. So to keep control of what's happening in our system, we created the cash control system. And the cash control system is working in a way that every machine is sending all relevant data into a huge database. And our cash control, which is a central web-based system, is processing this data depending on what sort of functionalities you want to use from it. So, as an example, our service organization and the help desk are getting service data, health data from the machines and can predict thereby if something is wrong, or even better, if it's on its way to be wrong, and support the shops to either do necessary maintenance or to be aware of refillings needed or so. And also, we've been named supervisor here, but it could also very well be the head cashier of the shop that are, by this, getting aware of the fact that we are getting low of coins here. And you don't know that, you don't see that as you normally do in your till, that you are almost out of 10 rupees. But, the cash control system will absolutely know this. Also very important is financial reports. So cash control would know every note and coin that goes in and out of the system, would know if it is a sales transaction or a refilling transaction, floating, as we say, and thereby is able to reconcile automatically what has been sold at every day at any time. And it could also give you status report of content in the shop, either if it is in the note and coin recycler or in the back office unit. So you will always at any time, since this is the real-time system, you will be able to ask how much is in Safepay, how much cash do I have in my shop or in my shops if you are a chain of several shops. We are also able to provide CRT with data. And that's quite common in quite some European locations, that the system is providing the CRT with data of how full is our back office unit, when is it time to pick up, and what is needed in terms of change money to be delivered to the shop. The lowest denominations that Tom says that it's almost always treated as change money, and most of the shops are negative, as we say, by means of that we are delivering out more coins than we are taking in from our customers, and thereby need to refill this. This is controlled, and this information is provided by cash control. And also, getting more and more interesting is to provide the bank with the data of what is, let's say, available in terms of cash in normally the back office units, which is in some occasions used as more or less property of the bank. And that means that the bank would allow in certain areas the retailer to get credit for the cash that is already secure in an environment where it can only be taken back and controlled by, for example, a CRT access to this product. So to summarize this, the system works in a way that the machines are sending all the relevant data to the cash control, which process that data and provide us with, for cash handling purposes, reconciliations, automatic reconciliations change order balancing. It will automatically tell that you need to order so much change money from CIT to be able to keep with your float for the next time. And all this is flexible, so you can say that I want to order cash once a week. Then the system will tell you what is needed if you order once a week. If you order twice a week, it will be adapted to that. So all the data is there. It's just to tell the system what you want from it. It will also be possible for deposit and banking for pre-credit to send out reporting data there, as I said. And also, of course, for security. So this will also keep track of every time something happens physically on the devices, like an opening of a cover or a release of a cassette and refill. So not just cash, it will also recognize all changes of sensors and statuses of the machine, which you later on could, if you have a problem, refer to and see that that was something that happened that shouldn't have happened. That would be the reason for it. So there is a lot of that as well. Very, very often, in the case also, we connect the cash control system to a retailer's own ERP or financial system, so that we are not sending a physical report which has to then, as a manual, be transferred into a retail financial system, but that data is automatically being pushed into the financial system in the order that that system wants and needs it. That is very normal as well. On CIT services, we quite often create reports to CIT for what we call pick-up on demand. That means that it's not necessary to have a fixed schedule to pick up every day or every second day or every third day. We have many occasions where we set system to tell CIT a number of days in advance when the unit is supposed to include a certain number of notes or be full. It's also a flexible way of setting the system to volume, so that CIT can then plan to come when it's necessary to pick it up, rather than to come on a daily basis or weekly basis or whatever. When a head cashier or a financial manager or so on is looking at cash control, this is what he will see. On the left side, there is what we call a tree structure. And this is, what you see here is symbolizing a chain of shops, which has a number of shops and also a number of machines. So the green dots here, the green symbols, is representing different machines. And the principle here is that we are working with privileges, so that the people that are looking at it, if it is a head cashier, for example, she will only see the machines, she or he will only see the machines that belong to her privileges, which will normally be the shop she's working in. If you're talking about the security manager, for example, he will be able to see all the shops and thereby all the machines, which is in his domain or he or her domain's area. So this would only be shown what is necessary to be shown and what is privileged to be shown. And then you have a band for navigation and also different menus. This system contains a huge amount of information. And that information is not, the same information is of course not necessary for everyone. So what we normally do is that we tailor-make these menus depending on the user. So if I'm a head cashier, I am interested in what I should do as the morning routine, if there's anything to do in the midday routine, and what do I need to do on the closing. Then, of course, the graphical user interface for that person will only show what is needed to know and what is needed to do to perform. And in Safepay, in our work with retailers, one of the main things that we got very clearly from everyone when we started to develop this was keep it simple from an operation point of view. Keep it very simple, keep it very secure. So therefore, I think we can say that we are quite proud today that the way to operate the Safepay system today is very, very simple. And that simplicity doesn't take away, or it doesn't, let's say, jeopardize security or efficiency or any other of the arguments that Tom mentioned here. As an example that we know from our experience, which is making Safepay a difference from many other systems, and definitely from manual system. You don't even have to be able to count to operate Safepay in a professional way, because Safepay is doing that counting. The only thing you should know, basically, which will help us with the demonstration of hereafter, is how to feed in notes into the system and scan the books. And of course, which is important, treat the customers on the other side the way they deserve to be treated. So Safepay is more or less a supporting system in a very customer-friendly setup in the checkout line. Did I miss something, Tom?
I think it's covered.
Yeah.
So, if we should complete Gordon before we go to the products, and that is that, as you understand by now, the front-end cascading procedures are fully automated with those units. And which means that the few, to start off a checkout means that it's always ready. There are no need for a physical till box anymore, because the change is in the unit. So a cashier can meet in the morning, go to the checkout, log in, and then she or he is ready to go. If there are, for any reasoning, a need for the person to leave during the day, as there of course always are, they just log out, and the next one logs in. Or if there are free time in the shop because there are no customers, they can leave the checkouts because the cash is secure, and they can do other jobs or services within the shop. Because there are no individual till box anymore to be responsible for, because all the cash is in here in a floating system. So there are no cash preparation, as I said, and there is definitely also less training of cashiers, because that part of it where you have to train the cashiers in handling the cash and the balancing, you don't have to do it anymore, because that's not that task. And that interaction, as I talked about before, where the cashier now will have time to talk to the customers instead of fiddling with the change, that is also something that we have seen is a big benefit. It becomes a more customer-friendly interaction when there is not that stress situation anymore for the cashier to handle the cash. And at the end of the day, then it's just to log out and leave, so to speak. There are no difference to be changed anymore. There are no end-of-day balances to be done by the individual employees handling the checkouts. So the few remaining back office procedures that will be left in the shop. Yeah.
The day in a Safepay shop normally starts with refilling the system, because normally the day before would have taken out some of the change money, which then needs to be refilled to clear out the day you are going to operate. And then at the end of the shift or the end of the day, the next step is to release the surplus cassette, to move it into the back office, where you either have a back office unit or handling it manually. The most important one, and the closest one, is the closed back office unit, where you then simply put in the cassette and the system automatically deposits the money into the secure, safe environment. And of course, as I said before, cash control will recognize all that happens there, and that all the money that was in the machine was sent down to the cassette, and that all the money that is in the cassette is also deposited into the safe, so we know the content of the back office safe. And then most common is that we ask cash control to do the full end of day reporting, so that it's clear what was the startup float, what was refilled, what was the sales, and thereby what is the content of cash that belongs to the sales of the shop at the end of the day. All this is done automatically, and we can proudly say that we have managed to get this to work so that what is said on the cash control is also what is in the safe, and thereby what is reported back from the CIT after counting of the bank. So it is a system today which you can trust. Normally, on a weekly basis, this is experience coming from Europe, we say big weekly basis thereby. Cash is ordered from CIT, that means change money. Of course, normally this is combined with the timing when they are coming to pick up. Notice that they're also bringing the change necessary. And also, normally in a shop there is a cash safe where CIT is handing over the change money, which is then taking money from every day to refill the system. That cash safe is normally verified also on a weekly basis. And on monthly, as we say, there is some cleaning, simple cleaning to be done on the system to keep sensors clean as well. And that would come for approximately 5 minutes per machine. So this is how you maintain and operate the system, basically.
Pratique du supermarché sera bien évidemment complètement interfacée avec l'automatisme du coin counting machine et du no counting machine. Donc la caissière fera tout simplement la vente des différents produits du public. Donc la caissière fera tout simplement la vente des produits. L'afficheur qui existe déjà chez vous affichera le prix à payer. Ainsi, le client pourra, lui, avec les pièces, faire le premier paiement en monnaie et tendre la monnaie à la caissière qui, elle, insérera au fur et à mesure les notes. Ensuite, le rendu monnaie se fait d'une manière complètement automatique et du plus haut niveau au plus bas niveau. C'est-à-dire que si on a une vente de 550 roupies et le client a donné 1000 roupies, il va commencer par rendre les billets de 200, ainsi les billets de 100, 50, et ensuite te rendre les coins si jamais l'automate est en rupture d'une certaine monnaie ou de pièces. Bien évidemment que le système est complètement développé pour que nous ayons un minimum de stock de billets et de pièces dans chacune des machines. Que ce soit au niveau des coins ou au niveau du no counting machine, nous avons des alarmes qui viennent nous indiquer que si on a mis un minimum de 50 roupies dans l'automate, s'il arrive à 49, automatiquement la caissière et le chef caissier, qui sera lui, qui aura son logiciel, sera informé du moment ou de la rentrée dans la zone un peu d'alerte de charge pre-full de no counting machine. Donc, vous voyez qu'on peut faire une petite vente. Donc là, on va simuler une vente. Là, on est arrivé à... Voilà, on a fait une vente, on a simulé une vente qui fait 146 roupies et on va insérer un billet de 200 roupies. Enfin, 200.
So every customer can then see what he or she has paid in. It will come on this screen here.
Là, la caissière va valider automatiquement. Il va rendre le change au niveau du billet et il a rendu le change au niveau des coins. Automatiquement. Sans aucune intervention de la caissière. Et là, à ce moment bien précis, tout est rentré dans les coffres. Que ce soit au niveau des notes et au niveau des coins, tout est déjà comptabilisé. Ensuite, on peut faire une clôture, on va simuler une clôture, donc la caissière a fini sa journée, donc on va faire une clôture, si tu veux vider le... Donc là, l'idée c'est de...
Should we make another transaction?
Yeah. minute transaction. Vérifier 25, 20, voilà. Voilà. Bien. Maintenant, on clôture la vente. Voilà, il faut savoir qu'à partir du moment où la machine, l'automate prend le billet, non seulement il vérifie la valeur du billet, mais il vérifie bien évidemment si c'est un faux ou un vrai billet. Donc il sera rejeté automatiquement si c'est un faux billet. Okay. Donc là, on peut imaginer que la caissière ou le magasin est fermé. On vient tout juste de fermer le magasin et on va juste transférer les billets d'une autre entrée machine vers le back-office.
C'est la caissière qui prend le billet.
C'est la caissière. Alors, il y a 60 et 40, il y a 60% des automates sont installés vers la caissière. Il y en a 40% ici qui sont installés vers le client. Nous pensons que dans le retail, il vaut mieux que l'automate soit orienté vers la caissière.
Sans contestation du client, il dit je donnais 500 roupies, c'est 200 roupies.
Oui, mais aujourd'hui, comment ça se passe?
Aujourd'hui, pas la caméra.
Voilà.
C'est pareil.
C'est pareil, il n'y a pas d'autre supervision que d'une caméra à ce stade-là. Par contre, l'automate, lui, définitivement, va reconnaître si c'est un billet de 50. Il n'y a pas d'erreur possible au niveau de l'automate.
C'est-à-dire le change, la caissière, après le change, va remettre le...
Oui, le change revient vers la caissière et c'est elle qui le remet au client. Ça, c'est pour la partie billet, mais pour la partie coin, c'est complètement orienté vers le client. Bon. Donc là, on va simuler la clôture du magasin. Donc l'ensemble de tous les billets qui est dans l'automate va rentrer dans le coffre et sécurisé. Vous pouvez le voir, on va vous montrer le coffre de toute façon. L'information, c'est qu'il y a une cheville de grossissement intérieur qui contient 90 notes, déjà prêt à prendre et à retourner le change automatiquement. C'est pour ça que c'est aussi rapide, c'est que ce n'est pas complètement rentré dans le CF, il y a 90 billets qui restent en attente de soit d'être envoyé dans le coffre, soit d'être rendu au client. On parle bien de coffre sécurisé où l'argent n'apparaît nullement. C'est vraiment un coffre. Et là, il suffit juste de...
Combien de billets on est dans
350.
Non.
350 et il y a deux compartiments.
The cassette which is emptied into this machine is controlled against cash control. So that is the right number of notes and the right number of coins. So it's an extra control we are having.
Do you have a time span
We have a possibility to set a time span, and that is normally done when we have ink inside. In Europe, ink as a protection is very, very common. And then we set a certain time from the time it releases here until it is expected there.